Okay, you've watched the first 4 parts of this build series. If not, go watch those and come back. So you know by now that I'll make mistakes, but I'll also share my lessons learned and even some words of wisdom along the way. I may not be the best builder yet, but I can share the skills and approaches I'm learning that might just help you out for projects of your own. All that's remaining to complete the target build is attaching the top ledger board. Then some additional steps to get the target ready. Then I can have my first practice with axes and knives using an official World Axe Throwing League target. And as always, I try to include some entertaining commentary and insights into how to make any build project better. Enjoy. All right, well, I took that break. I took some time to go ahead and move everything away from the center of the garage, put it over in the corner, make some space, because it looks like the center is going to be the best place for me to put this massive target. I'm going to go off frame for a second, but yeah, the support on the back side of this extends, a good 7 feet. So actually, I guess about 6 feet or so. Judging by there was 10 inches in front, we cut those to 7. So yeah, about 6 feet behind that. So that's just kind of, I don't know, dead space in the garage at the moment, but at least that way it's, I still got distance for most of the things I was throwing. I was only using about from here to the garage door, which is about the same distance as I have here if I back all the way off to the edge of the camera. So this should be still the right distance, because the main thing with throwing these, the way I'm doing it now, the technique I'm learning at the moment is it's doing one full rotation as it flies through the air. So you need to be at the distance to where it has enough time to do that before it hits the target. So this is about the distance that I've been throwing from. So actually that kind of works out to where I can have the nice target there and me on the edge of the screen, and you can see my practices when I'm showing updates. So yeah, I'm liking this. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit more cleanup real quick, and then I'll wrap things up with putting the one on top. A lot of sawdust from miter saw and circular saw while it lasted. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed doing that miter saw. I see a lot of miter saw projects in my future. That was just fun. I'm gonna have to price one out, add that to my wish list. And the beautiful thing is, it may actually be a tax write-off at some point. We'll see. Got to figure out how all that works. That's a little bit cleaner. Get a little bit of coffee to warm me up. Back on track, assuming all this is working good and the camera is not having issues. There's still one final board to put on top. We have our last board here. This one, again, is one that got a lot of axes thrown into it when I was practicing, when we were just leaning against the garage door. So now it's just put this one up top and we will be done. So I'm gonna need a couple of clamps. Let me grab those.
We've got our screwdriver, our bit, which keeps trying to hide from us.
One board left. We're almost done. My phone just died. So yeah, this has been one issue after another, the whole project, but we're almost done. I've got one more board left. I'm going to get that done, and then I get to do my first night practice with the actual target for the axes and knives. This is going to be amazing. Let me get this last board up. Let's see. I'm going to have to disappear back here for a bit. Let's see, what is the best way to do this safely? I'll grab one of my clamps. Prep for the other one. Okay, finally going up top. All right, so we got our last board here. It's gonna sit. Woo! The clamp out of my hand so I can grab it both sides. All right. So it's gonna sit right here. Center that here. Make a slight gap there just because one of the boards sticks up a little bit. Pull that down as much as I can. All right, that's pretty good. All right, so we get a clamp on that and get the second clamp up. All right, let's take a look at that, see how it looks from the front before I secure it. All right, coming around. Yeah, the boards aren't quite perfect, but it's a target that I'm throwing axes and knives out. This is not, living room furniture. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be stable and sturdy and hopefully wide enough that I don't throw it and hit my workbench or the pumpkins over there. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. I'll see if I can lower it down a little bit from that one that's bumping it up. I've got screws back here. All right, I'm ready to, and of course, I'm on the last ones and I lose the bit. There we go. We got it back. I'm gonna finish this project finally. Woohoo! And there's the bit and the screw. All right. Oh, look, and it bounced right on top of the board. Could have grabbed it from the other side. Let's grab that screw before I end up stepping on it later. One more time. We got this. And that's in. Okay, one more on this side, one more or two more on the other, and we're done. Clamp's done. And I dropped my bit again. Oh, it went through to the front. Hello. The last two in here. That one's in. We're on the last screw, or at least the last screw going in. I still have to take the screws out of the front. I got the clamp. That is our target. I think we're done. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's a thing of beauty. That was so worth it. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be amazing. That is just a huge target. That is massive. That is sturdy too. That's not going anywhere. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is about my spot here. This looks good. Let's grab that clamp out from behind there. Get those screws out of the bottom. We got the little holes there, which almost feels like I need to put another one on the bottom on that other side just to have screw holes on all of them. It's an OCD thing enough that I'm going to put a screw hole right here and then take it back out, just because it needs to have one like the other floorboards. There we go. Now it feels symmetrical. And that bit again. Okay, got the bit. All right. I think I might be ready for axes and knives. Yeah. Is there anything else I need to clean up? Nothing else that's in the way here. Okay, I think I'm ready to get my knives and my axes and give it a shot. Well, I was about to start and I realized that is just a plain surface. There's no target. If we look at the design there, well, download your own. I need to put the actual target on there. Looks like the center is 2 feet up. Yeah, those are 4-foot boards. So the center is the center of that center board, 2 feet up. We're gonna make a target here. Almost ready for target practice. I wanna make this as good as I can before we have all the axes and knives thrown at it, leaving little holes everywhere. Let's just find our center. All right, so 2 foot up is there. So it's actually 9 1/4. So it's 4 1/2 plus an 1/8. Let's go here. So about right there is dead center. All right, so that's where I'm aiming for. That's center. Which fortunately for me, that's almost straight out. It's good to be not that tall sometimes. Put a screw in there, and I'll use that to make our circles. So that's our center point. And then I did have a string that I cut out. See, how does that look? It looks like I'm wasting a lot of my target by doing that. Wow, that's cold. What does an official target look like? It looks like it starts at the 2. Okay, well, taking a closer look at this, I had to take a picture and zoom in, old man eyes. So it looks like you start at 4 inches away from the center for the first circle, and then you go out 8 inches to 12, 20, 28, and 36. So you have 5 circles starting out from the center, and the center is 2 foot up. So now I have my measurements. I just need to get something so that I can make my circles. The easiest way to do that is have the screw in the center like I've got here. So to have my center point, have a string, and then just circle around from that. What I'm trying to find is a string. Yeah, bonus points if you know where that came from. Nothing to see here. Move along, move along. Where's the string? I know I've got some kind of twine or something useful around here. Or it's probably in that cabinet that I just blocked with the whole target. I've got so much clutter that creative inspiration is around every corner. I think that's the pack rat anthem. Motto, excuse, choose your word. Well, so far the only thing I've found is, I guess, somewhat poetic if I use this. All right, we'll see if we can make do with this. What I found is one of the paracords that was on one of the knives. So I'm gonna try to use that just because I can't find anything else. All right, so we're gonna tie that here. And again, I need to make a video on a knot within the week. I was on a schedule to make a knot video every week in February. Just do some interesting ones, bow tie, tying my shoelaces. I think that'll work. All right, so now I need to make some marks on there. So I have a plan. We'll see if this works. We're at 4 and then 8 out from that. So we're doing 4. So that's just not right. There's no way that can be right. It can't be right. Let's see what we got. Oh, half it. Yeah. So that's going to be 2, 6, 10, 14, and 18. because it's showing me the diameter, not the radius. So the center is a 4-inch circle, and then it goes out to a 12-inch. So you move 6. So yeah, got it. Okay, that makes more sense. I can do a tape measure from the center. This would be a lot easier, but I'm trying to make do with what I've got. Okay, so the first one is going to be at a 2-inch mark, and then we're going out every 4 from there. All right, so 2, 6, 10, 14, 18. That's our circles. Let's see if we can pencil that. Nope, that's why I'm doing pencil. Okay. Problem I'm having is I'm trying to use a carpenter pencil, which is not a circle. Let me find something that's actually a circle that we can draw this with, and I'll find an eraser to clean up my mess. Okay, after a couple failed attempts, again, I was trying to make a circle for the target, got my measurements, trying to do the little string trick to draw the lines, failed at that. So I've got a little bit of an oops there, but I came up with a solution that's going to work. I'm going to use this board and I'm going to make a little gig, and I'm just going to draw my lines with that. It's going to be simple, easy. Give me a minute and I'll turn this into a nice little jig for me. Okay, what I've done, pretty simple. Just took a board, put the holes at the spacing. So starting with I'm going to put the screw through right here. So 2, 6, 10, 14, 18. So next step is to, need that bit again. Always comes back to that silly bit, doesn't it? That one silly bit. All right, got the bit in place. Let's remove this. We're going to attach this right there in the center. So that's going to be our center point. I'm going to mark it with a pencil just to test it, because I've had a few oopses along this journey. All right, so all right, so I'm going to do, just choose a little marker here, and we're going to put that in there, and we're going to make our circle. So that's our actual spot. Messed it up before. All right, so this is our next one. And look at that. It's not that silly string thing where it was wrapping around it, so it was losing my spot. This is anchored, cannot mistake where it's supposed to be. Now we'll get actual lines that are circles. Perfect. All right, we'll get there eventually. All right. It's almost dead center. All right, and then our last one here. Pull that around. And look, we have a target. Beautiful. And I just, save this, and I can always redraw it, touch it up. When I need to replace boards, I can use this. I think they have an official one on the World Axe Throwing League site, but I think this will serve my purpose, because I'm not going to be competitive with this. This is just a little thing to practice the skill for YouTube videos and just for my monthly resolutions. I think I'm happy with that. Wish I hadn't messed up my center, but I can always adjust my gig a little bit, modify that. Besides, once it gets a bunch of axe throws at it, it won't really matter so much. Let's see how that looks. Let's adjust that a little bit. There we go. Now you can see got some nice circles. I'll need to double check, and probably when I flip the boards and get better at it, but there's a couple of kill shots. So you're supposed to try to hit that one, hit a bullseye, hit that one, hit that one, hit that one. Or there's some pattern to it. There's different scoring. Again, not going to be a concern of mine for, I don't know, forever probably. But all right, I'm going to get some gloves on before I start handling the axes. Plus my hands are about frozen at this point. All right, so ready to do some axe throws and knife throws. All right, we finally did it. The official World Axe Throwing League target is completed, and I can start practicing with a real target. There were 5 mistakes this time, 4 lessons learned, and 1 words of wisdom shared. No mentions of the library this time, which is weird for me, but we did drop that silly bit 4 times. I don't know why I didn't secure that bit better. Instead of using that little extender, I used it for the first bit I found, then just didn't do it the right way once I learned from my mistake. Hey, stop that. No running commentary for the outro. For the entire series, there were 22 mistakes, with 33 lessons learned and 29 wise words shared. There were also 28 bit drops and 20 mentions of the library for anybody tracking those. I'll have the first target practice video out in a couple days, so subscribe and join the growing community to see the target finally being used for practice. And a few days after that, I'll have my results video for the first month of axe and knife throwing skills development. Check out this playlist for the rest of the target build and my other monthly resolutions. Also check out the other great content on the channel and leave me some comments to let me know what you think of my first couple months of videos. If you like what you see, then subscribe and join the journey. Until next time, safe travels.